Let's consider log streaming. So log streaming takes place at the Nanolog cluster. So as those transactions flow through the Zero Trust Exchange, through the log router, to the log cluster, a decision can be made to stream those logs to your SIEM source solution. That may be hosted within your organization or within an infrastructure as a service platform. So how does that work? For Zscaler Internet Access, the platform is called the Nanolog streaming service because it's taking logs out of the Nanolog cluster and pulling them down to the Nanolog streaming service server and passing it into the SIEM. For Zscaler Private Access, the log streaming service uses the existing app connector infrastructure to pull logs and pass them through to the SIEM solution. So when a user accesses the Zero Trust Exchange, the Zero Trust Exchange processes the transaction and the logs are sent to the Nanologs. The NSS and or LSS virtual appliance creates outbound connections to the log infrastructure, and the logs stream through those and are then presented as a syslog stream to the SIEM server. So different kinds of log services exist. So there's the Nanolog streaming service for web, so the streaming of web log records to the SIEM. There's the NSS log recovery. So how do we buffer logs? So if there is a LAN or a data center connectivity issue, we want to make sure that we can buffer and then continue to stream logs for up to an hour, either towards the SIEM or from the Nanolog streaming service in the cloud. We also have the Nanolog streaming service for firewall logs to stream those DNS, the IPS, and the firewall logs through to the SIEM. And then the log streaming service for private access is those private access logs using the app connector infrastructure to stream towards the SIEM solution. We also support cloud-to-cloud log streaming. So where you might have a cloud-native SIEM solution, for example, Splunk Cloud, we can make a decision to stream the logs natively from our cloud directly into the Splunk Cloud. So it's a customizable HTTPS outbound connector, interoperable with Splunk Cloud, Sumo Logic, Devo, and more to come in the future. So you configure those log types, the SIEM type, the API, an authentication token, any headers that need to be sent, and identify the specific certificate that's going to be trusted, and upload the CA certificate from your Splunk Cloud so that we can verify the certificate validity for the streaming of those logs towards the Splunk Cloud. Cloud-to-cloud log streaming then simplifies security operations. All of the logs flow through that post API to the cloud. You don't need to deploy additional virtual machines or connectors. You get the increased reliability of a 24/7 cloud ops monitoring. You get the increased reliability of 24/7 cloud ops monitors and the ability to scale because the traffic is cloud native. You're not hairpinning traffic through an on-premise service to get it back out to the cloud. And you get all of the load balancing that's applicable with a cloud platform. So those supported solutions, Splunk Cloud, Sumo Logic, Devo, we have additional ones, Microsoft Sentinel, Microsoft Cloud App Security, and also streaming to S3, Kinesis, and QRadar Cloud. With all of those log streaming, we can stream all of the information about the HTTP transactions, the session, the URL classification, the cloud app control, the mobile application information around device type, all those fields around file type control and identity, as well as the threat prevention, sandbox information, the policy action and rule and reason, all the information in the logs around those SSL transactions and the validity of those transactions, data loss prevention, the bandwidth control, and any information that we've got from the client connector. So there's about 100 different fields that may be streamed as part of the log streaming service. And these are all visible in the administration interface. Nanolog streaming service monitoring resilience because we want to make sure that as we're streaming logs, we've got high availability. You're able to identify any issues with the Nanolog streaming service. So again, the Nanolog streaming service sits within your data center to stream those logs to your different SIM solutions. And the Nanolog streaming service will buffer traffic for up to an hour if that syslog feed is not available. Also, if the internet connection is not available, the Nanolog streaming service will reconnect when it is available and download up to an hour's worth of logs from the Nanolog cluster when that connection is re-established. So to understand this in a bit more detail, we've got the Nanolog clusters here on the left. There is up to an hour buffering if those connection disappears. The Nanolog streaming service will buffer logs in memory for up to an hour, and when its connection to the log collector for the SIM comes back, it can replay lost logs in flight for up to an hour, and that's also configurable.